The next con is ugly user interface. It looks like I don't care what people say. This user interface is trash. Like, am I looking at like a Starbucks Frappuccino Pinocchio? I don't know what I'm looking at. This is clean. You see this, guys? That's clean.
You are the chosen one!
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another Shamshir Sound video. My name is Ali Nadem. Today I'm going to be talking about Massive X. Now, this synthesizer was released just a couple days ago, and there are some great reviews on the internet where they do in-depth sound design and playing with a lot of the patches. So if you guys are more interested in terms of how it sounds and what the sound design is like, there are a ton of great videos you can check out. Today I want to talk about my opinion and how it compares to its predecessor, Massive. And I'm going to put them side by side because I've used Massive for years. I do everything from like bass, kicks. The Martin Garrix Animal kick that was remade in Massive. So much of my stuff is made in Massive. And so I really know Massive very well. And I played around with Massive X the past couple days. And frankly saying, I'm pretty pissed off, to be honest. The expectations were really high, but I feel like they didn't deliver well at all. So I'm going to talk about my opinion, and I've written down some notes here. And I'm going to start with the pros. The first pro is that it is resizable. So that's going to be a great plus because versus Massive, this is the old Massive, you just had what you had. And I actually, for me, that's not a pro. I really don't care about resizing. I don't need to see my synthesizer like some 50-inch TV. Like, as long as it's legible, as long as I can see it, as long as it's clean and minimal, that's what matters to me. So this pro might matter to you guys inside of Massive X. For me, it's not that important. And that Massive X can be done right here, view size, and you can change that and you can put that to a custom value. I think if you're using maybe VST3, if there is a version of VST3, I'm on VST2, you might be able to kind of increase the size with the bottom right, but I couldn't do that with this synth, so your mileage may vary. The next pro is modular routing. So this is something that they explained coming up to the launch date, and when I'm talking about modular routing, I'm talking about this routing window here. And again, this is a pro. This is going to allow you to do some unique stuff, route noise this way or avoid this type of routing. With Massive, you just had like a pretty static layout and you could change certain things, but it was pre-designated. There was only so much you could do. If you wanted to put insert 1 before the low pass filter, you could do that. Maybe you wanted to bit crush after the low pass filter, and you did have control in terms of how you wanted to route things, either serial or you could route them parallel. With Massive X, they're going to give you a lot more control, and I haven't fiddled around with this enough to really realize the power of it. But it's nice to see that you can just quickly take this, and be like, I want to route this to this guy here, whatever that's going to do. Now, this is also not that good for beginners, so be warned, if you're going to jump into this, you're probably going to have to spend a lot of time learning it. The next one is the new Wavetables. So they have introduced a whole bunch of Wavetables that can be seen here, and they're categorized basics, operators, and yes, modern talking is back. That's one that I tested out. They have it under this remastered, so it looks like a lot of the ones that they wanted to keep. I have kind of mixed feelings about these. I went through a lot of the wavetables, and I feel like the wavetables in Massive were great. And I think you can, if you Google Serum Massive wavetables, buddy of mine also said that he's imported those wavetables. I don't know how they extracted the wavetables from Massive, whoever did that, but I love the wavetables for Massive. A lot of the basic and the analog and some of the digital ones, especially the virtual analog, the VA, fantastic, great sound. And I suppose that you're going to get a cleaner sound in terms of less aliasing and less digital noise in your sound, similar to what Serum did. But I don't know. Like, I have mixed feelings about the wavetables, but at the end of the day, if it gets the job done, it gets the job done. Moving on, the new oscillator modes. So Massive, what I mean by that, has this where you have spectrum. So if you go ahead and play like this saw wave, you can change this to bend, and that changes the harmonic or formant. And what that does is that, generally speaking, spectrum is your default and it has the most harmonics. When you start manipulating that, it's going to change the way it sounds. And Massive X introduces not only those same ones, like standard is your basically your spectrum, and they still have formant and bend, but they also have these new ones with like Gorilla and a lot of these new ones added there as well, which will totally manipulate your sound. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to an init preset. And let's see here, init Massive X. All right, so I'm going to just put here Gorilla. So you're going to get some weird results. And you're going to have to really play with that one. I still don't know that much about this plugin. Like, there's just a lot of knobs that I'm like, what am I doing here? Well, you know, and that's going to tie into what I'm going to be talking about later. But the whole point of this kind of point is that you have more to play around with than just spectrum, bend, and formant. But I rarely actually ever used formant. Maybe I'll try that more in the old Massive. So that's moving on to the next point, lots of new noise sounds. So noise is not just limited to white and bright and in this small list here in Massive, even though, you know, there's not a whole lot that I needed, and I've made some pretty unique stuff with this. Massive X really takes it one step above by adding not just one but two noise generators. And those noise generators, you have a whole list of stuff. I mean, there's more noise in just the static category than in all of these combined. So you have some really cool stuff like bubbles, and if you hit here's drop stones. So you have some really cool stuff. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of capability in terms of designing stuff, but at the same time I was like, really, is this really necessary? Is this really what people wanted? That's not what I wanted. What I wanted to see was that I didn't want to see them reinvent the wheel. I want to just see them improve the synth. And so I'm going to talk about those as we get into the cons. But that is a benefit, having more noise generators, a total of 2 instead of 1. One thing that sucks is that Massive had a color knob. And when you have the color knob, here's some white noise. When you reduce it, it's not necessarily the same as pitch. It sounds a bit different. And though this would sound similar, white, the problem is that it's not the same knob, and I would have appreciated keeping the same one, the color, as opposed to just going for pitch. And I'm just because I compared the two and I'm like, wait, this has a lot more low end. So experiment with that, but I would have liked to see, I feel like some stuff they took one step back instead of a step forward. We do have new filter types, so they're categorized where you click here, you can see low pass 4, 2, and 1, and you can select a whole range of filters, not just what you have here with the low pass and whatnot. Albeit, you know, this is great. I've found that this is way more than I've needed, but it's great to see that you have more filter options. So that's definitely a plus to have more filter options. Why not, you know? The next one we're going to talk about is the new insert effects and mastered effects. So there are a lot of effects. I haven't gone through all of these effects, but the great thing about these effects is that you have a total of 3. So in Massive, it used to be 2 plus 2. So you'd have basically an insert effect 1 and 2. You have the master effect 1 and FX2, and then the EQ before going out. And now they take it one step above. You have 3 plus 3, so a total of 6. And one thing that is cool is here you also have more effect modes. You have a whole range of stuff, not just your frequency shifter and bit crush and whatnot, but a lot of new ones. It does look like we're missing some of the old ones, because in the old one we had, you know, hard clipper, parabolic shaper, sine shaper. It was mostly distortion in this insert, and Massive X is taking it to a new direction by, again, it's mostly the same stuff, but you have some cool stuff here. track delay, ring modulator. So there's some new options there. When we look in the insert effects, or sorry, master effects, you have your dimension expander, equalizer, which is something that's going to be new because I don't see like a master EQ, which is what we saw in the old Massive. In EQ, that's just right here. You have just 4 basic modes: a high shelf boost, a low shelf boost, and then you can boost or cut specific frequencies. Whereas Massive X, you're going to be able to do that kind of on the fly. I guess if you throw in an EQ there, you can see there we have the low gain, we have the high gain. A little bit more control because they're allowing you to, I guess, adjust the frequency. So it's nice to see we have a bit more options there, and really similar stuff. It looks like they've kind of removed a little bit of the redundancy because Massive does have a bit of confusing. You have like chorus, chorus mono, chorus ensemble. So it's good to see that at least you have the options there. The next on my list is that there are some dope patches, but when you download the demo, they do tell you you have to download the stock bank, the factory bank, separately, which is really strange. I don't know why they wouldn't just bundle that together. So just a heads up for that. The patches are cool. I've listened to a few of them. They're really nice. One thing though, we'll leave that for the cons in terms of the presets. Advanced envelopes, LFOs, and more of them. So with Massive, you had a limited amount of envelopes. You had 4 envelopes. One would be by default set to the amplitude. And then you had 4 LFOs that can also be a performer or a stepper. So it was nice for its time. It's great. It's definitely, kind of pushing it in 2019. I'm sure people demand more. But is this something that I necessarily needed? I don't think so. I don't really see the benefit in having so much LFO, but I mean, I'm sure there are people that are going to benefit from it and use it. The nice thing is that the advanced LFOs, and what I mean by that is that this is one step in the right direction. The problem with Massive's LFOs at times was that you can't see the curve until you actually select it. So what's fall 4? Oh, you don't know until you see it, and then you actually see it, whereas Massive X lets you actually see what you're doing with the knob. So that is a good design choice. That one I applaud. There's a lot of new options being added: random LFO mode, switcher LFO mode. So definitely this is going to be a whole kingdom of itself to really experiment with. But it's nice, and you can go inside of another envelope and you can switch that up for something else. You can switch an envelope for a LFO. You can go here and switch an LFO for an envelope. You can't, I don't believe you can switch the performers, and you can't switch these ones either. So just as a heads up. Next is offering new options for detuning, pitch morphing, and stereo width. Experiment with this one. You do see it's grayed out right now, but there is an option for chord detune, chord morph, stereo width, and then you have another option there. So there's more options being added for detuning and whatnot. So that's good to see. I've just been so uninterested in this synthesizer to really take a step of real in-depth experimentation. So now we're going to talk about my cons for this guy. Note sustains from my keyboard. So I read this on Reddit as well. Your mileage may vary, but there's times where I press a note on my keyboard and it just keeps sustaining it. It just keeps pressing play, and then I have to stop the DAW, and away I go. It might not do it now. So here is normal Massive. All right, and then here is Massive X. And then I have to stop the DAW. So just I hope they patch that. I hope they fix that. Maybe it's an FL Studio thing. The next con is ugly user interface. It looks like shit. I don't care what people say. This user interface is trash. Like, am I looking at like a Starbucks Frappuccino Pinocchio? I don't know what I'm looking at. This is clean. You see this, guys? That's clean. This is clean. Nice big knobs, and I wrote here, Massive has nice big clean knobs, and they're very fluid. You see this with a flick of a mouse, nice and fluid. There's no momentum with it. It's just nice and fluid. Then you open up Massive X, and these knobs have a weight to it. Do I need to drag my mouse to oblivion, to China? Like, the knobs have this strong weight to it, and you guys might like this resistance, but I don't want to put so much more effort into and energy into that. A knob should be quick, responsive, and be able to be seen. And these knobs on old Massive are way better. So Massive X gets a big thumbs down from me in terms of the user interface. I hate it. I'm gonna uninstall this after this video, guys. Higher CPU usage. Just be warned, and this is to be understood. You know, Serum is gonna have a higher CPU usage as well. I mean, older synths there's only so much you can expect, right? With higher quality, CPU usage will go up. It's like a GPU. It's like your graphics. You know, if you want higher fidelity graphics, then you know you're gonna require more processing power. But with that being said, a word of warning is that if sometimes I'm using like 30 instances of Massive, maybe more, for kick transients, to kicks, to bass, to pad, to synth, to lead layers, you name it. And this could be a big problem for people who are not on extremely modern hardware. If they're not on like second or third gen Ryzen, if they're not on like the latest and greatest from Intel, and they're running on some older hardware. I'm on a 4770K Core i7. It's overclocked, and with 16 gigs DDR3. It's a bit older rig that I built, but like if I have tons of instances of Massive, this could be really detrimental and could really slow down. So next thing I want to talk about is, this is so bad. I hope this is a bug, but non-macro knobs can't be automated. What do I mean? You can't automate this in FL Studio. You can't automate this in FL Studio. You can't automate this. You can't automate this. The only things you can automate are what you assign to macro knobs. So macro knobs are you can automate, but you want to automate this? Check this out. It's not detected. You want to automate this in Massive, you can do it. Right there. Filter routing. You want to automate this, you can do it. There are only certain knobs you can't automate in Massive, and I believe that's just the master volume, but it might actually be able to. But the most of them, I'd say like a good 95% can be. Whereas Massive X, I was like, wait a second. This guy on Reddit said it too. I'm like, wait a second. Can I automate this? Can I automate this? And you can't. It's still looking for massive automation on the old one. So I'm really disappointed in that. I don't know if it's a quality control issue. I don't know if the patch is going to be coming, day one patch. I don't know. So next thing I want to talk about is the no backwards compatibility. So this runs, of course, in conjunction with Massive. It doesn't replace Massive. And this cannot import any old presets, which kind of sucks because Massive can also import old Massive presets when they were using the KSD format. And you can also batch convert. So they gave people some cool tools if they were using a very old version of Massive, and they didn't just leave them, in the dark regarding that. So it sucks. No randomization. So Massive X doesn't have like a random all feature. Whereas in Massive, you can go to the global and you just have to say the percentage of randomness that you want, and you can randomize literally everything. You hit this. There we go. You see this? But you don't have that in Massive X. And with Massive, you could literally craft your synth, and you could have just changed the like an oscillator, or you could have changed to something simple. And so again, like that's a feature where we're losing features. It's kind of like you're getting a laptop. 6 years ago, you bought the laptop and it's sturdy and strong. You have your Asus laptop. You buy the new laptop and it's in this crap plastic chassis, and that's how I feel with this. You can't import custom wavetables. So Tone 2 Icarus, I've heard of that synth. I haven't used it. They say that you can import it. They let you export wavetables. They let you import them. You can also do that in Serum. You can't do it in Massive X. So I don't know what I don't know what they're thinking. I don't want to be rude to them or anything, but I don't know what they have up their ass because like if you're gonna make a flagship synthesizer, um, you can't be failing on simple stuff like that. I would, it's an expectation. These new things, it's not 13 years ago. Like 13 years ago, this would have flied. Like it's completely fine, right? But 13 years later, and I feel like we have an inferior product. No manual to read at launch. If you go on their website, it says coming soon. So, just so you guys know. Envelopes don't change. Oh my god. This is the stupidest thing. Like, envelopes don't change. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Change the attack. Look at this. Attack. Decay. It just shows you a static image. It just shows you a static image. What the fuck? And then you click massive. 13 years ago. Look, attack, decay. Look at that. Smooth. You want smooth? Okay. Oh, you want pluck? That's clearly a pluck. You want a sustained sound? That's clearly a sustained sound. Look at this. Look at this. This is unacceptable. This is not. What is this crap? So that was a big con for me. We're pretty much at the end of it. It's harder to use the performer. I don't know what these performers. What are these notes? What is this? Okay, draw line. I'm sure they're providing more options, but look at this. Look at this. Nice. You go to LFO, you switch it. Ah, beautiful. You want everything flat? Okay. You want it in between? You click load curve. Oh, you want this curve? Oh, you don't want that curve? Okay, you can just do it like that. Click and hold. I don't know, man. I feel like they're taking a lot of steps back. The master slider. Oh my god. Then this is pretty much the end, but there's one more rant I have. The master slider. So look at this beautiful master slider. Look at this. It's beautiful. Left to right. Nice, right? You double click, it goes to the center. Massive X. Oh, massive X. And the nice thing is you see the volume. I mean, most DAWs are vertical. You see that volume, right? Like that. You open this guy up, and like one of the most important things, your master knob is pretty important, tucked away up here. And you'd think, okay, well, it's horizontal, so I guess I gotta slide it to the left and right. No, you gotta move your mouse upwards or downwards. And it just it just feels like it's so tiny. And I think that's a step in the wrong direction. You're literally making Gorilla look bigger than the master slider. I don't know where the values are at. So that's essentially what I have to say about Massive X. I'm disappointed. I expected a lot more from them. And the hype was real, and they delayed it as well. Oh my god, can you guys imagine what we have gotten if this launched in February? Oh, man. And there's no, you click on Massive, right? You have recent files, like, oh, I'm working on a Avicii remix, and I was using some patches, so I can recall them in recent. Beautiful, right? Recent. You can open the sound, new sound, and when you hit new sound, you start fresh. Massive X, I looked everywhere. Like, I right-clicked here, I searched this. I can't even right-click nothing to get a new sound. I have to go into this and look for an init preset. That's what I've been doing. And then you can do this or blank. But then if you do blank, you have no sound because you have to set up the routing. So it's like it's slower to get into. So for that reason, I give this synthesizer like, I don't even know. I give this like a 5 out of 10. I give this like a 5 out of 10 in its current state. I hope they patch this and fix these problems. If you guys, Native Instruments, are ever watching this video, or someone in the forums or anything like that, please fix these problems. Update this. I just feel like, I don't know. I'm not going to use this synthesizer at all. Like, I'm just disappointed. So that's a wrap, guys. Let me know what you guys thought. I'm not going to be using this guy. I'm going to be uninstalling this. And I'm going to do that actually right now. All right, guys. So Massive X is uninstalled. And I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this synthesizer. Do you like it? Do you hate it? I hate it personally. And I will see you guys in the next video. Remember to hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care.